All right, welcome to a new video, and we're going to be talking about the quarterback matchup that the Florida Gators are going to be having throughout 2025. They already had their schedule released quite pretty quickly right after their final game against Florida State, and now they're going to be after they've finished their bowl game with Tulane and Capital put a put the finishing touches on an 8-5 record for last year, which is the best record Florida has had since 2020. First winning record they've had in 4 years. First bowl win they've had in probably 5 years because they lost in 2020 to Oklahoma. So it's a brand new year for the Florida Gators in 2025. DJ Lagway is going to come back into the starting lineup for Florida. His hamstring should be pretty much healed up by the time I think spring by the spring game comes around, because that'll be in April and we're heading into January in a few hours. So it should be a healthy DJ Lagway heading into the season. And not only is DJ Lagway, going to be heading into the second year of an offense under Billy Napier, and healthy, a lot healthier, going to have a healthy leg to start the season, but also is going to have an assortment of weapons at wide receiver and running back, and is going to have a bunch of starters coming back to the offensive line. But this isn't about how Florida's season should stack up this upcoming season. It's about how the quarterback position for Florida stacks up into this against their opponents. And I'm not just even talking about the backup. We're just simply talking about DJ Lagway. Not really focusing too much on the backups, but just comparing DJ Lagway to the opponents that Florida will have in 2025, and does Florida have a quarterback advantage throughout the season against their said opponents? So we're gonna get started right away. Their first opponent is the Long Island University Sharks, and then the USF Bulls, South Florida Bulls. Those two games open up in the swamp. So it'll be a nice way to get DJ Lagway's feet wet for the 2025 season. Well, he's already had a bunch of playing experience, so his feet should already be wet. But like with the new players that he's going to have around him, I should be saying the new receivers and running backs that are heading into the fold. And obviously they get LSU, then Miami. Those are two big games. A bye week, and then they get Texas A&M, and Mississippi State, and then they get their second and final bye week, and then they begin what I believe is the toughest stretch of their schedule. Like last year, the final 5 games were the toughest stretch. Well, really, the last couple of seasons for Florida, their last 5 games were the toughest stretch of their seasons. And this year, in 2025, excuse me, is no different. Georgia, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida State. And that's how their schedule makes out this year. Next year, I keep saying this year because we're technically still in 2024, but next year as well, 2025. And I think you can make the argument that Florida has a quarterback advantage about just about over every opponent that you can name on this schedule, except for maybe Texas, depending if Quinn Ewers comes back, right? Because Long Island USF, that's not up for debate, right? LSU, they do get Garrett Nussmeier, who's going to be a fourth year under Brian Kelly at LSU, but DJ Lagway just went head with Garrett Nussmeier and outplayed him, even though he wasn't healthy. And granted, he does have the advantage of being at home. DJ Lagway won't have that next year because they'll be on the road to Louisiana. But I still say I'll take DJ Lagway over Garrett Nussmeier. They have seen him head to head, and DJ Lagway outplayed Garrett Nussmeier. Miami, I think this is much easier one to tell outside of LIU and USF in the first 4 games. Emory Williams right now is probably the projected starter for Miami, only because they don't have another answer. I mean, they have Judd Anderson, who didn't take any reps for them this year. You have probably some quarterback that they're going to get out of the transfer portal, and maybe that guy is more than likely better than both of those dudes. Emory Williams is not really a high ceiling. With the Judd kid, you haven't seen him perform, so you don't really know. But they're not going to have another Cam Ward. Cam Ward was a generational talent for Miami at that position, considering the guys that they've had in years past. Your Brad Kayas, your De'Aaron Kings, your Malik Roziers, your Tyler Van Dykes and Jake Garcias of the world. They just haven't really had a guy that played as well as Cam Ward did this past season for the Hurricanes. And I think DJ Lagway is better than whoever they have next year. So I say that's four opponents with a cornerback advantage. You have the bye week, and then you get Texas. If Quinn Ewers comes back for Texas, I'll give Texas the quarterback advantage here. because of all the experience Quinn Ewers has and all the big plays he's made and all the big games he's already been in for Texas. DJ Lagway was in a couple of big games with LSU and Ole Miss and played a little bit in the Tennessee game, but not really. I don't think up to this level though. So I'm gonna give the edge to Texas there. If Arch Manning is in it, I mean, if you want to say experience wise, this will be next season will be Arch Manning's third year under Sarkisian, but he doesn't have DJ Lagway's amount of playing experience. So, playing experience that will go to Lagway. But if we're talking about being very about having comfort and familiarity in the system, Arch Manning's going to have a slight edge over DJ in that aspect because DJ is still I think he's still learning. Quinn Ewers has been pretty well developed during his time in Arlington. Texas A&M, Marcel Reed. Look, Marcel Reed flashed when he came onto the scene against Florida in Week 3, blew Florida out. But as teams got more film on him throughout the season, you saw his deficiencies, start to come out, and teams were able to scheme around him, scheme around his skill set and how to beat him at the right time. And I'm gonna say DJ Lagway is better than Marcel Reed. I'll take Florida with DJ Lagway over Marcel Reed at Texas A&M at the quarterback position. This isn't a win or loss record prediction. This is just simply saying who do I think DJ Lagway is better than for this season, quarterback wise. Hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta take a quick break here. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I got a phone call that needed to be answered. Anyways, as I was saying, we're getting back to what we were talking about here, the comparison of DJ Lagway to the projected starting quarterback for the Florida Gators opponents in 2025. I just got done talking about Texas A&M. Now we're going to go to Mississippi State here. I'm pretty sure Mississippi State's starting quarterback got transferred out somewhere else, but whoever they bring in, I'm just gonna say go ahead and go out on a limb and say Florida has the advantage there with DJ Lagway. I don't even think much analysis is needed here. I don't see a position on the football field that Mississippi State is better than Florida at talent wise. I just don't. I just don't see it. So then you get a second bye week here. You get Georgia. Now Carson Beck has already announced that he's entering the NFL draft. And behind him is Gunnar Stockton, who will be playing against Notre Dame because Carson Beck hurt himself in the SEC title game against Texas. So now, it's if Georgia had to start their season, let's say next week or whatever, there's and Carson Beck is out because he's already declared for the draft, so he wouldn't play anyway. It would be Gunnar Stockton, and while Gunnar Stockton may have provided a juice for Georgia in the second half against Texas, I can't really sit there and say that he's better than DJ Lagway because he just hasn't gotten on the field that much. So I would take DJ Lagway over Gunnar Stockton right now. And DJ Lagway, if he not gotten injured against Florida, who knows how they would have performed against Georgia in the second half. I'm not going to say they would have won outright, but I do think with the way Florida played in that game, losing DJ Lagway was the biggest impact for that Florida team against Georgia in that contest. So, but I'll still say if I had to start, or the Jaden Rashada guy who was a transfer to Georgia from Arizona State, who originally signed his letter of intent at Florida, but left due to NIL disputes with Billy Napier in the program. If it's Jaden Rashada for DJ Lagway, I'm definitely taking DJ Lagway because Jaden Rashada doesn't have he just doesn't have any on starting experience. I don't think he got a single snap for Georgia last year, and I don't know what his playing experience was for Arizona State, but he didn't get on but fielded a lot for Georgia. So I probably would take DJ Lagway over those quarterbacks. Then you have Kentucky, Brock Vandagriff, who transferred to Kentucky from Georgia. He's retiring. And Kentucky's probably going to have to go into the transfer portal again to get a quarterback. I think that's like the third time in 4 years they've had to do this. I'm taking DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway absolutely smoked Kentucky last year. And I just don't see Kentucky having another passing threat to compete with Florida, especially this late in the season, which is when Florida goes on the road at Kentucky. That's in November. And this is typically when Kentucky falls off. They start off the season strong. They even get to the midway point strong, and then they fall off towards the final games of the year. They did it this past year. They did it the previous year, 2023. They did it in 2022. So Kentucky does not finish strong under Mark Stoops. They start off hot because they start the year with two or three non-SEC or even non-Power 5 opponents in general, but then when the competition ramps up, that's when their deficiencies on the offensive side of the ball come out. And they just mainly stack up against bad, they mainly stack up 7 or 8 win totals because they're front loading it with non-Power 5 opponents at the beginning of the year. They didn't have that luxury last year. They got blown out by South Carolina, lost a close one to Georgia, had a big win against Ole Miss, but then they just fell off towards the end of the year against Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and Louisville at the end of the year where they got absolutely destroyed. So I'm saying DJ Lagway. I'm taking him over whoever Kentucky's got. Ole Miss, they're no longer going to have Jackson Dart. He's entering the NFL draft after playing out his final year of eligibility as a senior. Then you have behind him is Austin Simmons, who at one point was a Florida Gator commit for the 2025 class, where Tramel Jones has signed and enrolled. And then it was projected that he was not only going to enroll at Florida, he was going to reclassify for 2023 and get into Florida's get on Florida's campus, kind of about midway the calendar year of 2023. So he didn't do that. He ended up, well, he did reclassify to 2023, but he flipped to Ole Miss in the process instead of sticking with Florida. And there was a few plays in the, I believe it was the Georgia game where Jackson Dart got hurt and he came in and he actually moved the ball pretty efficiently to score a touchdown or two, but he still has not had a full season of experience. Now maybe he'll get that this year. He'll project to be the starter for Ole Miss next year, and he'll have a whole off season to, spring, summer, and fall camp to work on his game and get ready for the season. He's been there for about a couple of years calendar wise, so he should be ready to go. I'll still take DJ Lagway at the moment based off of, just having more of an experience advantage. Then you go with Tennessee. Nico Iamaleava, to me, did not impress. He had a nice couple of games against some bad opponents, but for the most part, when the competition ramped up against SEC teams, he did not play well. I don't think he didn't play well against Arkansas. That's why he lost. He did not play well against Florida, but was able to win that one because all the mistakes Florida made on the inside the red zone. Did not play well against Alabama either. He played better in the second half of that game, but did not play well at first. And he didn't play well against Georgia. He's just too streaky and too inconsistent week to week. So a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, and a little bit of back and forth during the game. So I'm not a fan of Nico Iamaleava. And for the final game of the 2025 season, of course, is the annual Sunshine Showdown with the Florida State Seminoles. They lost out on DJ Uyunglele because he has no more eligibility left. And then their other quarterback, Luke Cromanall, has now transferred out to go to Mississippi State, and they're bringing in former starting quarterback from Boston College, Thomas Castellanos, who was actually a former the starting quarterback for Gus Malzahn, who's the now offense coordinator for FSU. But at UCF, Gus Malzahn was the head coach, and Thomas Castellanos was his starting quarterback, and he benched him, which is what led to him transferring to Boston College in the first place. So I'm going to take DJ Lagway over that guy because he's been benched. And Brock Glenn, the backup, I would assume is the backup for FSU. He did not look good when he played. Now, granted, DJ Lagway had way more to work with at the offensive line position than at the skill positions, receivers and running backs and tight ends. But Brock Glenn just did not look that good. I mean, against Duke, he had 3 turnovers on 3 straight plays. I don't care if you're not on a talent-rich roster. 3 turnovers in 3 plays, that's bad. And I just think in this season, you could argue that Florida has as the quarterback advantage at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 against 11 opponents this year. And I'm just giving the edge to Florida in terms of on paper with DJ Lagway and what we've seen compared to what the other opponents have to offer and what they're losing. I think Florida has the quarterback advantage in about 10 or 11 of those 11 of those dates. Maybe you could argue once the season once the season comes around and the games are going to start getting played, that maybe I was wrong on a few of these, but that's all the way until fall. Right now we're still in the final hours, I should say, of 2024, and I just think Florida just right now has the current currently has a quarterback advantage over almost all of their opponents, and maybe that's just hubris, being that Florida finally had a winning season and seeing things look like they're trending in the right direction for Florida. Maybe that's just me drinking the Kool-Aid, but I just got to go based off of what I see and what I read. And this is just what I believe. But hey, that's why the games are played. Appreciate y'all listening to this video.